other guest we have over here is Marisa Osborne, who is the wife of Paul Osborne, and she is my guest today. So rather than introduce yourself, let's just go a little deeper, and each of you take 2 or 3 minutes and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background. Maybe starting with Mike and just going around. And if you want to stand, if you feel, whatever's appropriate.
Hello everybody, my name is Michael Kassler. I'm one of the 4 Republican candidates for Hardin County Commissioner. Thank you all for the invitation to be here. It's a very nice crowd, a very beautiful day to be here. I live in the southeastern part of Hardin County, with east of Mount Victory. I live with my wife. We've been married 34 years. We live on the farm that we bought in 1993. I'm a farmer. I have quite a few irons in the fire. I'm a zoning officer for Buck Hale and Pleasant Townships. I retired from Highway Patrol in 2010. I was a trooper at the Delaware Post, sergeant at the Lima Post, sergeant at the Marion Post when I retired. And I'm also currently a trustee of one of 5 retirement systems in the state of Ohio. And I manage a $1.4 billion in pension and health care funds for the retired troopers. And that's just something I really enjoy. We only meet like once every couple of months, but it's something I really enjoy. And I've wanted to be a Hardin County Commissioner because this is just a great place to live. And I think that I have the leadership skills and the education and the training and the experiences to be a good county commissioner. And I love Ada. I went to law school here. This is a wonderful place, even though there's like a schism between Liberty County, they call it, and Ada, and the rest of Hardin County. I don't see it that way. I think that you guys are a vital part of Hardin County, and I want, if there is any gaps between the two, I want to bridge them. I want to bring them closer together. And I want to help everybody in our community grow and prosper more than what we are now. Again, thank you for the invitation to be here.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bob Carter. I'm currently running for the position of commissioner. And those of you who do know me, honey, I'm back. You probably think I'm crazy, but this is my 3rd time running. It goes to show my love for this county and all the people, residents in it. I'm soon going to be raising a family here, so my main concern is the economic development, bringing jobs to this location. That way we can see our family, keep our roots here, which I'm sure there's a lot of families that wish to do so. Give you a little bit of history on my education. I worked 15 years at Occidental Chemical or Jerez Division, and I seen it as a stepping stone. After a few months of working there, I was like, well, some good opportunities may arise, I'll jump in. While I was there, I gained a lot of certifications. I became a journeyman electrician, steam engineer, and a hazmat specialist while I was there. Then later on, when the Japanese bought them out, I seen the writing on the wall. They were going to keep downsizing. So, just so happened I fell into working with HVAC when I stopped in one day to inquire about a blower motor for a drum problem that I had. And the secretary was sitting there by herself, nobody around, and I was like, is it possible I can get a blower motor here? She said, yeah. I said, can I go out and look at your stock, because I don't know what serial number is, I just know what base and what type of motor. And she goes, yeah. And I looked at her and I said, yes, need some help around here. Matter of fact, we need a couple more technicians. I said, wow. I said, well, all right, can I just pick up an application, drop it back off later? She's like, yeah, sure. And I said, do you mind if I fix my motor here while I got a table? This looks great, pretty sure you can do it. She said, yeah, go ahead.
You know, in Rotary, if your phone goes off during a meeting, you get fined.
Okay, sorry about that. Where is that? Oh yeah, fixing the motor on table. I'm glad I kept your attention. So as I was doing that, the manager came in and he was like, hey, you looking for work? I said, possibly. He goes, well, use a technician. He goes, tell me a little bit about yourself. I told him, showed him my credentials. He's like, man, I can take a guy like you and make an HVAC guy. It's so easy. You got everything there. I said, yeah, man. So he proceeded to talk to me. He goes, what do you make an hour? And I told him, I said, well, if you can match that, I'd be happy. He goes, yeah, I will. He goes, I can take you on board for that. Actually, that was the highest paid in the Reds. And he goes, well, when can you start? This is on Thursday. I said, how's Monday? I gotta go tomorrow. The reason why I didn't give him a 2 weeks notice because I could show up to work anytime and they'd have my name on the board, so you're permanently laid off or whatever. And I had a good opportunity, so I didn't want to lose it. So that's what I did. Needless to say, I went on to manage the company while I was there later. After the manager left, he put me into that position, and I did that for a while. And ended up, they started downsizing again. Makes a long story short. I proceeded on to work in the HVAC field where it landed me a couple good positions as a branch manager and a general manager. And also, currently, I was last fall a instructor for High Point Career Center. I originally started off there with like 5 students that would show up because they were going to basically get rid of the program because of lack of interest. So they hired me to come in and try to turn it around. And I went in with 5 students. They said, don't worry about your curriculum, just get these kids through the school year and then we'll start working the following fall. I said, that's no problem. Needless to say, I worked there 5 years until they started micromanaging, which I don't like. You know, I'll take advice and whatever, constructive criticism, but to micromanage me, I'm happy. It's just the way I am. So I left there and went, and I'm still an educator for a company out of East Liberty, Ohio, which they are affiliated with Hardin. Basically, they got several thousand, or I guess several thousand people that they service in that area. So I'm here today because it was like a last minute decision while we're in church. I don't know if you guys believe in prophetic suggestions or anything like that. Well, we were sitting in church, the pastor was talking about he wanted to see this county also build up its core so we can have a better county as far as economic development and a lot of improvements as far as building infrastructure and things like that. You know, he kept saying you gotta have a strong core and you walk over the team. He said God's gonna open some doors for you, and I think you need to reevaluate and look at doors because this is I don't even know you. And he said God said yes to go after it. I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, probably don't have a chance. And so after that message, I had people look at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And that's how I came into the race. A little bit late, but I'm here. So, I appreciate your attention, the invitation, Karen. You're a lot better than my students. They had a High Point. They're pretty good kids. I had really good success there with taking 5 students and building up to a full class. So I left the next guy setting goodies, a 23-year-old kid, that's trying to make a life, and I think I left him pretty well. Thank you.
So Daryl's next, but I want to explain something. We've got 4 Republicans here competing in the primary, and then in the fall, they'll face Daryl, who's a Democratic. So Daryl will briefly introduce himself.
took away my first 5 minutes of my speech. So yes, I'm the lone Democrat, so the winners of my right and left will have to face me in November. So I was an iron worker for Kent Structural and Ornamental Iron Works in Kent. I did my 30 years as an iron worker, and at the end of my 30 years, my body was saying, you're not gonna do this much longer, it's time for you to retire. And I did so in 2010. So then I had the great opportunity of babysitting my grandkids, my most favorite job of all. So I started grading my grandson at year 1, and Abigail was born then 7 months later, so I had both of them, and I had a ball until grandma retired. So anyway, so in 2010, you know, everyone knows that there was no other second job. So I got into the volunteering. My wife was afraid I wouldn't have anything to do, and now she says you're in too much stuff. But I started volunteering for the Red Cross. So we help people that had fire, and so no matter the day or night, we come to make sure people have food, shelter, and clothing for the Red Cross. Well, that then asked me to be on the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, which I help with United Way. And that's done through the Homeland Security budget. So that has problems of its own, so but they've cut that out. So
It's disappeared.
it's kind of on hold.
Yeah.
Worked with the United Way number of ways. Also, I worked with the LAPC, Local Emergency Planning Committee, which deals in hazardous spills, making sure we have plans for that. Hopefully, we never use those people, but it's good to have a plan. And then you know what they say about plans. Make a plan about us. So all those plans are flexible, and I've become flexible. I've been a township trustee for 12 years, starting my 13th year. Each year I've go to the Township Association. That's where you learn how government works, how your townships are supposed to work, and you know, there's no such thing as a standard township. I mean, my township, we have 11 big hog barns. We're not going to be annexed into any city. So, you know, we have like 520 people. So we're at the bottom of the list when government says per capita. And I get up, hey, I've got a problem. If you want to keep the bacon coming, you need to help us with our roads too. So we have to express ourselves on how things are done at government level. And I've had to communicate with construction workers, like I said, as an iron worker, so I know iron worker language. I've had to communicate with engineers, architects. They have a whole different way of communicating, and then the construction management in the middle, they have their own lingo language. So communication is going to be a key in the next couple of years, especially because I see that there's going to be a whole lot of changes, some good, some bad. But we have to be able to communicate with municipalities, with the people, with the state of Ohio, with the federal government, because they all got their ideas on how things is going to be, and they're treating all counties the same, or all municipalities the same, and we are not the same. We have different values, we have different morals, we have different ways of living. Traveling out to Ohio, you see that. You see the difference in each community has its own personality. And you know, you've got to dwell on that. You can't try to change them. They're not going to change. They've been doing that forever. Everybody's got their own community's got their own personalities. Relish it. Take advantage of it. Get the pluses and minuses of that. So it's going to be a very communicating challenge for all elected officials at all levels to express, you know, the inside millage, the outside millage. How does that affect the prices of your valuation of your property? It's going to go down for agriculture. It's going to go up for residential. It's super confusing, and I wouldn't have gotten into it if I hadn't went to the auditor and say, how's come my general fund's going down? He said, well, because of CROP. That evaluates agriculture. The agriculture price for commodities has gone down, the cost of input's gone up, that affects that price. So as an agriculture community, my profits went down. So if you was a residential area, you're going to see that go up. If you're lucky to be halfway in the middle, you're not going to see a difference. So there's a whole lot of things that's going to be going on with property taxes, with income taxes, with, you know, a lot of states in general have been trying to do away with the income tax. It isn't just Ohio, and that's to lure business to the state of Ohio. So there's a whole lot of big picture stuff that we're not looking at. We start focusing on small stuff and little stuff here and there, but we're not looking at the big picture. You got to look at how big buildings being built, even though it involves one level. You got to figure out the rest of it. So yeah, that's what we're going to be dealing with. So I appreciate the invitation, and thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Lavis. Thank you for having us. And I was a secretary, administrative assistant for 10 years early in my career, and got to do a lot of just managing and juggling projects, and did a lot of my own kind of project development for the different places that I worked. I worked a couple different places, and I really enjoyed that. And so that was fun. And then I got married and had kids, and I've been a stay-at-home mom. Wow, for 17 years. Well, 16 years, I guess. And so homeschooled my kids and doing all this thing. And in 24, Hardin Hills closed, and that was kind of a big push for our community to find out what's going on, how in the world did this happen, and it just became a passion that when you have, you know, you're going along with life just thinking everything is just fine and dandy and nothing's going to go away, and we're Hardin County, nobody really cares about us, and then all of a sudden you find out that there are areas that can just be devastatingly just gone, right? And so I started going to the meetings, asking questions. A bunch of us were asking questions, and there was a lot of pushback, and it was unfortunate, but that's kind of how it went. And the more I asked and the more I dug in, you found out that Hardin Hills is not the only thing that was struggling, right? And then you know, I asked questions, too many questions probably, but you know, well, what about this entity over here? And as I sit in the commissioners' meetings, you know, you hear and you start gathering information, and it just got to a point where you go, no, this doesn't look at all what I expected government to look like. And so I've been going to the commissioners I did take a little break after a year and a half. Took a break for the summer, spent some time with my kids, and then we're right back at it. And we ended up videoing the meetings. So I have Hardin County Voice is my YouTube channel, and we record different meetings and find out, you know, kind of what's going on, and I give summaries because I feel like there's nothing bad in Hardin County. We just don't know what's going on, right? So the education piece is huge, and being able to, it's taken a long time to understand how all the parts and pieces work together and how they kind of all affect each other, and like kind of pulling that all apart and being able to talk about the things and understand the root of kind of the issues that we're dealing with. You know, it takes a long time. So I feel like after 2 years, I got a good handle on what I know as of yet, and I am excited to kind of take the next step and say what's, you know, on the other side, digging in a little more deeper. And one of the big things that I see is that we all feel very isolated. You know, Ada feels isolated, Alger feels isolated, Mount Victory, you know, Forest, everybody, and we all are the same. And it's Hardin County, we don't have a lot of people, and so if we're going to get economic development, if we're going to get grants, and we're going to, especially with our smaller people that don't have resources like you guys have or Ken has, it's going to take us all. And I really feel like that commissioner's position can be the tie that binds them together. That you say, you know, Mount Victory, we have the commissioners with us, we're going in this, we have the support of all these people, and it's not just one little person, you know, encouraging the growth in Hardin County. And so just developing that, and seeing that move through is kind of the goal, and to keep on educating our citizens and getting them involved. The more people we can encourage to get into these government positions, we all know that it's a hard fight out there, that people aren't stepping up, and I think it's partly because they just don't know and they don't understand. And so encouraging that next generation to come in and make sure that we don't lose any more valuable pieces of our community is kind of the goal. So, thank you.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Paul Osborne. I am also running for Hardin County Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you who I am, a little bit about who I am. I am the pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church in Lima, right up the road here. I'm also the current village administrator of Alger. I'm a 3-term township trustee as well. But Alger's the one that really has my attention right now. The last several years, the mayor of Alger decided he needed a village administrator. So he asked me if I could help him out. I said, sure, let's do this. So we put our heads together. I dove into the books, see what the responsibilities are, what the basic job is, and we got after it. The dailies are an important aspect of village administrator. In other words, you're responsible for the buildings, you're responsible for the grounds, you're responsible for everything under the ground. You're responsible for the people, you're responsible for all that has to do with the village. And you got to do that. You got to do it daily. And that's a big part, that's a critical part of running a village. County's not any different. But there's more to it than that. I was like, look, we got to take advantage of some things, you know. The dailies, we're not making it, we're not cutting it, we don't have the money to do this. Where can we get the money? What can we do? How can we get some help? And so I started reaching out. I reached out to our representatives, I reached out to the county, I reached out to Invenergy and the places close by, businesses. And I'm like, we need help. And we were able to get some. Then an opportunity fell in our lap. A man by the name of Ray Brown just fell in our lap. And when I saw that, I saw the great opportunity that he was. And we took it, we run with it. Now, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know how long it's going to take to go. But what you got to do, you got to run with these things. In other words, somebody has to have a vision. Somebody has to have a goal. You know, somebody has to listen and ask questions and pursue something. You know, somebody needs to make a road trip or something and find out how it is that we can get this done. And it's not just one person. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. It takes a collective. It takes us from different disciplines. We have to get together. We have to know what it is we want to do. We have to make a plan. Then we got to go out and pursue it. And I'll tell you, it takes work, it takes effort, but you need to be inspired to do so. I am an advocate. I'm an advocate for Hardin County. I'm an advocate for Alger, and I'm an advocate for Hardin County. And I think we can get this done. Together we can get this done. So, appreciate your time very much.
So I've got a few questions, and I'd like as many as want to respond to them, but I want to try to keep these answers short, like a minute or two at the most. So I've read all of the articles in the Kenton Times, and all of you talk about the fact that we need economic development. We need to bring in new business. Well, county commissioner candidates have been saying this for 15 years. Why did any of you think you can do any better than what they're doing now? And I'll just start with you, Paul.
Sure, just what I just said. No, I'm teasing. Somebody needs to say that we are here. In other words, what I've seen in years gone by is, I know the commissioners are all about the budget, and they're all about the taking care of the dailies. They're all about the management, they're all about the spending the money and all of that, and that is their responsibility. That's what they need to do. But somebody, because it's a platform, if you have a couple thousand people vote for you, you represent those couple thousand people, and that gives you a platform. That gives you the ear of somebody else. And you need to bend those ears. You need to make sure that we're visible. What's the difference between Upper Sandusky or Marysville or Kenton or anything else? What's the difference? It's all corn. What do we have? We have to advertise ourselves. We have to say we are here too, and our stuff, we have stuff that you can use too.
Michelle?
Economic development, I think is based on relationships, right? So if you can go and you show up at the negotiation table, which is something that I feel like Hardin County has lacked for a lot of years, and being able to follow along with the contracts and knowing where you're gonna get your benefit, but, you know, are we gonna have, I don't know that we're gonna have big business come in here, but maybe smaller manufacturing, or, you know, like, we're a perfect place for a small, you know, my dad had a All Night Professional Solutions, and it was a software service company, and he employed 15 people, and just everybody loved it. It was low cost of living, had a decent pay, and they just did their thing. And it wasn't, you know, revolutionary, but it was a nice, comfortable living for the people that are here. And so, can we get more of those if we build the right relationships? And can we, you know, have some of those? I mean, our Robinson Finn, family-owned business, you know, they stay. They're from here. So, you know, I think there's a lot behind closed doors on economic development. Until you get there, you don't know. But as far as showing up to the table and being able to negotiate the correct prices and the correct things, that's what you need to do.
Sure, do any of the other three of you wanna comment on this? Mike?
Yes. I agree with you 100%. But I think the days of large, huge factories like Rockwell and Honda, those ships that sail, I don't know if anybody you know, but Hardin County is the only county in the state of Ohio that's going to have a 4-lane highway. That is a huge detriment to our attractiveness for business. I mean, people don't want to come here if they don't have a 4-lane highway or any means of getting their stuff out. As far as economic development goes, I know a person, he has a large chunk of land here in Kenton, he wants to develop it, he wanted to develop it for years, but all this met is resistance. Resistance from the county, resistance from the state, resistance from the city, about getting utilities out there and about supporting him. He's tried, but he's failed. And I think that we need to pay attention to people like that, because they're out there, they want to do stuff. But Kenton is, I mean, Hardin County is not a real attractive place, I'm afraid, to some people. Not going to change it.
Go ahead. You guys. Good. All right. So I've heard all the arguments of why we don't have economic development. The commissioners are in charge of the finances of the county. That's their job. So one thing we have for the economic development, we need to see if there's any obstacles. Because I do not buy the 4-lane highway. Everybody been to Lipsic, Ohio? Look how many businesses, you can't get there from here. You go north and then you go west. So, and it has, I worked up at the steel mill, raising and lowering the I-beams for the monorail for the cranes. And, you know, they have railroads, we have railroads. We have 2-lane highways, like I say, you go north and then you go west. It's not an easy place to get to, but they have it. So the lid I would love to see pride off of is the Jobs Ohio. Where are we, what kind of things are we missing? What, like I said, the obstacle. I'm sure infrastructure is one of the biggest things. Industry wants a plug and play. They want to be plugged into the sanitary sewer, they want to be plugged into the water. They want just, building the building is the easy part. The infrastructure underneath that nobody sees, that's the hard part. And nobody wants to address the hard part. And so, and then again, nobody wants to finance the hard part. So all those things are, you know, Ada has a industrial park. Kenton has an industrial park. I think Ada's has been more successful. You know, Forest does not have an industrial park. They're right off a 4-lane highway though. You know, there's, like I say, there's opportunities. There's also people that do not want to let go of their land for any economic development. There's people that want to say, you know, not my backyard. That's one of your biggest obstacles. So everybody's searching for that old Rockwell, and I think your small business, but sorry, either party don't really help the small business. So, you know, that's where small business is your backbone of your communities, especially for a small community like ours. We're only 30,400. So anyway, that's small businesses should be our goal and our focus. So how do we get rid of the obstacles? Only they can tell us. And like I said, listen, you know, like.
Everybody here is pretty well ended on the head that we do have a large need for economic development. Okay? Everybody's got different ideas of how to pursue it. That's the challenge. That's where you get together with all the local mayors and municipalities, not just go traveling to each meeting. Let's get together in a group, whether it be during the day, during the evening, whatever it takes. I would like to be more transparent, make it more feasible, rather than just having a daytime meeting. I would like to get everybody up there, wherever our office may be. I don't know if it's going to move or not. So, wherever that is, get everybody together, get everybody on the same page. You know, pursuing those different avenues and ideas. The biggest thing I've seen in Hardin County and overall Ohio, and especially in the surrounding counties of Hardin County, is education. We are not pushing skilled trades as far as we initially can. Also, we got to have a balance, an equal balance. This started out basically as a farm community. Yeah, we was fortunate enough to have Rockwell, Drez, and International Car. You're right, they are. It may not be feasible to bring in another factory of that size or those sizes again, but the ones we are, have in our area now, we got to see what their needs are to help them for not struggling as well, while we're trying to get new business into this county. We got state representatives. We got a lot of resources that we can get a hold of, and I know Ty Matthews is, he's already told me he knows a lot. I'm excited about this. I want to get in there and work with you guys to see what we can do to change Hardin County, make it better than it was in the past. I remember, I don't know, probably a lot of you, there's a few of you, remember how tight a community we were, okay? And there was a lot of opportunities. But yeah, we got to change with those opportunities. The big key one that I, like I said, was education, because I have my bachelor's degree in education and also in social service management. Just a few classes away from my master's. I've had these experiences. I negotiated the first contract when High Northern was outsourced to the Sodexo. That was $7.2 million contract. Wasn't fun, because we had no choice. They were going to be booted out as far as employees of High Point. Some of you might know what had transpired, but we made the best of what we could. I seen they were going to be in a pickle, and I held off as long as I could. So they had a need for those people. I gave them the best contract they had historically. But needless to say, that what happens when a middleman comes in and takes over? Does anybody have an answer for that? Who falls? Who gets the least of the pie? The employees. Those people are out there servicing, working on the campus. they took big hits. I seen it coming, but there was gonna be no change other than just hang on to what we could. But we need to be more than just that. We need to strive forward and gain, ground here in Hardin County. Help out with education, help out with infrastructure. Look in the future. I see eventually, you talked about the sewer systems, I see eventually it's gonna have to be a centralized system. It's probably gonna come to that. Gotta get prepared, whether we want to do it or not.
Thank you, Bob.
Sorry.
We've got a lot of candidates, so it takes a long time. These next questions, I'm just gonna ask you, you've got 30 seconds to 1 minute. Because data centers, do you support or oppose data centers in Hardin County?
I suppose I support the concept, but in reality, Hardin County is not conducive to them. The reason being, it's data centers, huge amounts of water. Some of them take 500,000 gallons of water per day, just for cooling of their equipment. And also being far away from high sources of power. Some of them, I talked to one gal, they live near a data center out across the state, 18 diesel generators to supply the energy. The noise is horrendous. So you got the huge noise, you got the water, the wells around here, they might put up 25 gallons of water per minute. That is nowhere near 500,000 gallons a day that they would need. So Hardin County is not the place for them.
I agree with that.
According to the Township Association, we cannot regulate data centers because they're part of infrastructure. But there has to be an open conversation with these guys. It should be no non-disclosures signed. A data center would be perfect near an old quarry where they have plenty of water. So, but you got to get power to it. Power is only generated in so many places in Ohio, so our power is always going to go up because there's only a certain amount of power stations. So, I say is we need to have the conversation, and it needs to be open and public with no non-disclosures.
We have enough green energy and windmills and solar fields. I'm not interested in another data center unless technology changes to make it actually something that you can live by. I don't know why they keep wanting to put these type of things on perfectly good farm soil and be disrupted. I think there needs to be another way, but it is an unfolding story, not only just in Ohio, but all over, so I'm watching it closely.
Yep, well, I'm not crazy about it, but I'm open to anything if you can make it work. Negotiate it up front, you know what you're dealing with, and the animal you have to wrestle down. I'm okay with looking at it, but really from what I hear, it's not very good.
So they're circulating petitions right now to put on the ballot this fall a measure that would apparently abolish property taxes throughout the state of Ohio. I would just like each of you to take 1 minute and tell me whether you support that and what you think what we would be facing if that somehow were passed. How you would respond. Paul?
If it gets on the ballot, I feel very strongly it will pass. It's be a movement of people, and the ones with their arms up in the air seems to be the government. So that speaks volumes to me. But the question is, what are we going to do? How are we going to offset that? How are we going to rob Peter to pay Paul? And these are viable, these are real questions. Do you increase income tax, you increase sales tax, you increase sin tax? I mean, there's, Lord knows we're taxed to death. We have another 40,000 tax avenues we can go down to try and offset it. But really, I think more than anything, we have to ask the question, do we really need this? Whatever it is that we, there's services may have to be cut. I don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen and how the revenue is going. But I know this, if you've lived an unhealthy lifestyle your whole life and you go to the doctor and he says, you're going to cut back and you're going to die. Well, that's hard. it's just hard, and I don't know what else will happen, but, I do know this, we'll figure out something, and we'll do it as compassionately as we can, and, we'll get through it.
I do support abolish property tax. I think that, you know, I'm a constitutionalist, and when it comes to having property rights as Americans, that is the American dream. And our property owners are bearing a burden that's unsustainable. And so, you know, is it the best thing to do? No, but it's where we're at in the corner, and it's what we're able to do to enact change. And I think it's a shame that the rhetoric out there right now is that you have to choose between your life and your home. And that should never be the two things on the table. Let's talk about the overspending, let's talk about the Medicaid, let's talk about the fraud. Those are the things that should be on the table, and right now it's the two things that are sacred to our Constitution is what's on the table. So I think that the conversation needs to be changed to, and I think the legislators know it's coming. So they're just waiting for it to come down the pike, and then they'll figure something out, because they haven't done anything in the last, oh gosh, since the 80s. So that's how we got here.
Okay, your parents and great-grandparents changed the Constitution in 1933 for the inside millage. And that's the one that you don't vote on, that one that goes up and down with the value of your home or property. It can come off there with legislators passing it by 2/3 in each house, and then goes to the voters. Or they can collect 413,000 votes in 44 counties, and then go to the voters. The voters should have the right to take this off, the inside millage off of the Constitution. Your taxes should not go up and down without your vote. So, but the frustration with me is legislators haven't did this. The initiative to do away with property tax is just a bomb to go off to not do property taxes, when their arguments is part of the welfare and such that your property taxes don't support. Most of that comes from the federal government, which is your income tax and other stuff. So the system needs overhaul, but we're going about it the wrong way, and we need to quit pushing the pendulum so far to the right and left, and stop the pendulum and have a good talk. And what do we need to get rid of? What can we combine? Yes, we do need to combine local governments in some way or fashion. There's too many ones, but nevertheless, we need to slow it down and take the time to do it. So if you change it today, 2077 is when you collect that taxes, 2028 is when government receives those taxes. So it's a long process on the process, and that's why we gotta slow down, take our time, and do it right.
Well, everybody's pretty much in agreement on that. It's the key word, is work together, see what we can do, what we can accomplish, where we need to, maybe not all of us as a collective can come up with the answers. We've got to utilize our resources and what we can and can't do for sure to stick to them. There's representatives there that are willing to help us, and those are one of the resources that we can go to and get some advice from there and so on. You got High North there has great resources here. You got a law library. You got people who want to become attorneys. So why not utilize some of that? Maybe they can come up with some suggestions or something like that are beneficial for us. But we have a lot of resources at our fingertips. It's just being able to roll up your sleeves and go out and do it. For the last several years, as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen that. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. That's what it boils down to. Who's willing to go the extra mile? For me being here third time, like I said, I'm either nuts or really passionate for this county.
I'm a farmer, I own farmland, I pay horrendous property taxes. I would love to see that go on. However, I'm also a candidate for Hardin County Commissioner, and I have a fiduciary responsibility for every citizen in this county. 40.3% of the citizens in Hardin County own property. If this goes through, they will get a windfall because they will have to pay property taxes in. The other 59.7% of the people in Hardin County, the vast majority, do not own property. They will not get this windfall. They will get nothing. However, they will see a huge increase in sales taxes that's going to have to be imposed to offset the loss. We're talking 16 to 20% sales taxes just to cover what we're missing in property taxes. It's kind of like robbing the poor to pay the rich, not the metaphor that I use in this. And as I'm going to be representing every citizen in Hardin County, I cannot support something that's going to hurt 60% of the people in this county. Therefore, for that reason, basically, I'm against the issue.
So, we need to wrap up.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, you may.
Martha, United Way. A lot of what we've talked about today has been economic and been structural infrastructure. I would like to address maybe more present needs that are immediate needs. For example, we have no low-cost housing in Hardin County. We have a homeless shelter that is only a 3-day emergency shelter. I get calls, literally had to walk out, right, as you guys were talking, because I have somebody trying to find a place to live. And I've had to go to the commissioners multiple times and sat in front of them. And when I hear we have $30 million in the bank, I ponder what the role of a commissioner is in helping the people of our county that do not have what they need right now. Not infrastructure, not big business. They can't go buy groceries. How do we help those people? And do you acknowledge that those people are even here? Because we have actually a huge group of people who think we don't have a homeless problem. Stephanie and I think can pretty easily tell you, we have a homeless problem. So what is the role of the commissioners, knowing that we have all that money, knowing that we have an empty building sitting out there that just is sitting there? What role do the commissioners play in this? Or do you not have any responsibility in this? What do you think?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
1 minute, and I'm ringing a bell.
Okay. I've talked to the county commissioners. Their stance is that anything happens in the villages or the cities is hands off to them. They are county commissioners, not village or city commissioners. So they're not going to help cities, they're not going to help villages. It's up to them to handle themselves. I recognize your need, I know it's there, and what the commissioners told me, it kind of turned my stomach, it's wrong. I mean, the commissioners are responsible for everybody in the county, and I know that the need is there, and we need to do something. But the need is not being addressed, and that's one of the things that I'm a big proponent of getting rid of, or helping addiction, homelessness, all those social issues. Even though I'm a Republican, those are important to me, and I will do my best to help those. Property, homeless, or not property, housing, huge issue. And the reason the houses are so expensive here is demand, because we have huge demand for houses, but no inventory. And then you can tell you that since the house comes on the market, it's sold. We need more housing, and that's just a huge issue across the country, and especially in Ohio.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I share her pain. With the Red Cross, people out there, they have no place to go. Hotels are the only option. The one thing that a lot of communities have that we don't have that I would see beneficial, we have a lot of people that help, a lot of groups that help. I would love to see them in one building. For people that need stuff, here's your help center. You get food, clothing, education, all in one building. But how do we get that? That's a big undertaking for a community of our size. It should be researched because it would be beneficial to those that need that to have a one-shop block. You go to the old Kroger store, you have 20 help agencies in one room, one building, instead of scattered all over the city to go get their help.
Would you support a coalition like that personally?
I'm sorry?
Would you personally support a coalition like that?
Yeah, the problem is how do you finance it?
Right.
That, I mean, that, it would have to be maybe part of the county, but like Mike said, it's not really the commissioner's job, but sort of the community is their job. So I could see them doing a portion of it, I mean, but.
I will tell you that the commissioners are in charge of the Family and Children First Council.
They are.
That is part of your job, and that has nothing to do with the finances of the county, just I mean, it does in some ways, but there are finances involved, but really the reality of it is a program to help our children that are multi-system youth. So you do have more than just fiscal responsibilities to be looking at.
But that's why I say it should be a partnership. But it should benefit all the villages and all the counties.
As a representative of the people, I believe the commissioners, yes, there are child and family services and those kind of things, but I think what causes a lot of this, and we have a lot of problems, a lot of them, it's a cultural matter. It's, we are not the same people that our grandpappy was. I mean, we've got different values, and how do you change that? What are you supposed to do with that? And all I can say is someone in a position of commissioner or whatever they are, if you have any platform at all, you have to raise the bar on what we consider as important and not important. For instance, does anyone know what the #1 source of poverty is in America? And it's not even close. Does anyone know? It's single motherhood. Now, if that be the case, and that is rock bed numbers, are you saying we can't address those things? Are you saying that we can't somehow teach our children that there is right and wrong, and there are things that are beneficial that you do and things that are detrimental that you do? We have to be able to do that. I think one of the worst things we've ever done to our children was 50 years ago, we started implementing self-esteem theology in school. And what that says is you're more important than anybody else. You're #1. You cannot be a loser. You're perfect the way you are. And that's a lie. It's a lie. What we need to be, what we need to teach our children is that you are the most important, not me. But whoever's standing in front of me is the most important, and I'm here to serve you. I'm here to sacrifice for you. I'm here to lay my life down for you. That's what a servant does. That's what a leader does. And so we have to somehow raise the bar on what is expected from our culture.
Just quickly, proper stewardship is where it comes down to, and stewarding that position as commissioner and seeing everything that goes on in the county as assets, and it's just a process of looking through it.
You know, Mike's comment that the commissioners don't feel that the city of Kenton or the villages are part of their responsibility. You could say that the townships are not part of their responsibility too, and pretty soon they're not responsible for anything.
Right.
Oh, it's a.
So I mean, I think that's a flawed philosophy. Does everybody want to take 1 minute and wrap up? 1 minute.
1 minute.
Let's start with, I'll start with Mike. Go far.
Thank you everybody for having me here, having us all here today. One thing I want to bring to your attention is we have 5 candidates here, and you're not really backward in any of this about each other. That's right. I mean, this is Hardin County. We don't do dirty politicking. It's respectable, and it's really.
We'll ask you
good
later.
thing for the most part. It's really a good thing running for office because you don't have to worry about what your thoughts on say. And I find that refreshing.
Everybody, it's been a pleasure being here. I'm excited to be able to reach out to you and give you my thoughts and explain a little bit about myself. Ladies, if I would get a chance to talk to you a little bit, I would appreciate after this. Yeah, I forgot to mention, I'm a addiction counselor, still certified. Yeah, I understand some housing, which I've been to different meetings with different groups, especially in Marysville. They put the part of housing first. Disability company will come. So yeah, I agree with you on that. There is a dire need in all areas. So you start working together and start attacking them one by one, making those accomplishments work. So, just want to let everybody know, I deeply love this county. Whatever it may be, I'm glad I had the opportunity to meet with these folks and meet them. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us. I'm a member of the Kent Lions, so I appreciate all local organizations that have their community involvement at heart. And so I appreciate you guys having us here tonight, so thank you.
Thanks for having us, and I will continue the education transparency that we've started, and hopefully encourage others to get involved and inspire the next generation in whatever capacity they want to involve in government.
I too, thank you. It's a great opportunity to speak before you all and to communicate with you. And